Hello, I'm Conrado, and I'm doing the story of Abraham and Isaac. Uh, Abraham and Sarah dearly loved their baby boy. They cuddled him and fed him. With him and they played with him and giggled when he wrapped his hand around their finger. Uh, they laughed when he smiled for the first time, and they were absolutely thrilled when he spoke his first word. Somehow, before they even knew that what had happened, he was walking and talking and grown to be a young man. Isaac was the joy of their lives. Abraham spent a lot of time with Isaac, teaching him to love and obey God. He told Isaac the story about how God had talked with him and told him to count the stars. He made sure that Isaac knew he was a special child, that he had been promised by God. As Isaac grew, he learned to worship God just as his father Abraham did. One day God spoke to Abraham. Abraham, I am here, Abraham replied. Take your son Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moab and offer him there as a burnt offering. I will tell you which mountain when you get there, God commanded. Abraham loved Isaac more than anything else in the whole world and would never do anything to hurt his son. But he knew he had to obey the voice of God. Early in the morning, Abraham got up and put on a saddle on his donkey. He called for Isaac and two of his young servants. They all went together to chop wood for the sacrifice. Then they started on their journey towards the place where God had told Abraham to go. For 3 days they traveled, eating the food they had taken with them and sleeping on the ground. On the third day, Abraham looked into the distance and saw the place where God was leading him. You stay here with the donkey while I take Isaac with me to go worship God, Abraham said to the servants. Abraham picked up the wood and gave it to Isaac to carry. Then he picked up his torch in one hand and a knife in the other. And they started towards the mountain together. While they were walking, Isaac began to wonder something. Finally, he just had to ask, Hey, Dad, I have the wood and you have the fire, but we didn't bring an animal. Don't we need a lamb for the sacrifice? Abraham, fully believing that God had everything under control, spoke quietly, Yes, Isaac, God will provide himself a lamb for the burnt offering. When they finally arrived at the exact place, God had told him of Abraham. God had told him of Abraham started looking for the large rock and build an altar. Carefully, he placed one rock on top of the other until the job was done. After that, he placed the wood, which Isaac had carried to the top of the altar. Then after looking around one last time, he had to do the very hardest thing he ever had done in his whole life. He gave Isaac one last long hug with tears in his eyes. He tied up his son and placed him on the altar. Of course, Isaac didn't want to be sacrificed as a burnt offering, and Abraham, as a loving father, didn't want to do it. But they both knew they had to obey God, so there was no struggle between them. Abraham picked up his knife and he raised it high above his head. Just getting ready to kill his own son, he heard the voice of the angel of the Lord cry out from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Here I am, Abraham replied. Don't kill your son. Don't hurt him. For now I know that you fear God. You love him more than anything else, even more than your own son. Abraham looked up, and right there in front of him was a ram caught in a thick brush. Abraham quickly untied Isaac, then caught the ram and put it on the altar. Abraham used his knife to kill the sacrifice. Then he used the torch to light the fire. There on the mountain, Abraham and Isaac worshipped the Lord together. They called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh, which means God is my provider. The angels of the Lord called from heaven to Abraham a second time, saying, "Because you have done this and have not withheld even your son from me, I will bless you, and you will have many descendants, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed because of you." Abraham and Isaac walked down from the mountain together, rejoicing that the Lord had provided the ram and made another great promise to them. They met the servants at the bottom of the mountain, and they all started on their 3-day journey back home. This story about Abraham and Isaac is about faith and what God provides us. Even started at the beginning with Isaac's mom. She was an old lady, and she didn't believe she could have kids, and God told her that she was going to have a son, and she did. She had Isaac, and then God told Abraham to take his son to go sacrifice him. But Abraham had so much faith that either he would help him not to kill his son, or even if he did kill his son, that he would bring him back to life, because that's how much faith Abraham had in God. And for Isaac not to struggle when his dad tied him up, that he knew they couldn't fight his dad because it was what God said for them to do. And it's a good lesson, and it's in my life I go through struggles, and I didn't know faith at the beginning, and I just gave up on things, whatever school or work or just things I was working on, in general. And I've been learning, just have faith of a mustard seed. That's all you need, God said, and builds, and He'll show you, He'll provide for you, and so you don't have to sacrifice your kids or yourself. He'll provide for you a way out, and that's what I get from the story.